like to call the August Business Committee meeting of Insurance, Finance, and Transportation to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Duplantis, Ms. Sharpenshake.
Here.
Ms. Babbitt.
Here. Thank you. Item 2, insurance. To receive a report from Ms. Carmel Groh of Norris Insurance Consultants regarding the renewal of Lafourche Parish School Board's worker compensation excess insurance and to take appropriate action. Ms. Groh.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm going to be really short and sweet tonight. This board has an excess workers' comp policy that comes up on October 1st for renewal every year. This year, you'll look at the spreadsheet and you'll see column 4. This is the renewal being offered by your current agent, Jones Agency, with Safety National. You're going to see a change in the name from Star Insurance to Safety National. Safety National acquired the workers' comp, excess workers' comp book of business from Star Insurance. So it's still the same, just a different carrier name. But everything else will remain the same. And I will remind you, last year, column 3, Star offered a 2-year rate guarantee. Safety National is honoring that rate guarantee. So this is the 2nd year of that 2-year rate guarantee. So when you look down on the sheet, you'll see the rate on line 7 is still at the 0.0753. It remained the same, no change at all there. Your deductible will remain the same at $750,000, and this year's premium is going to be on line 11, $68,787,000. The $83 increase over expiring, and that's only because the payroll, estimated payroll's up about $110,000 for this next year. And I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and approve the renewal of this excess workers' comp policy.
Can I get a motion? Ms. Babin, and I will second. Do we have any public comment? Any comments or discussion from the board? Hearing none, let's vote.
You have been giving us lots of good news. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, to consider recommendations presented by Buddy Leday of Gallagher Benefit Services Incorporated for the Vision Carrier for 2026. Mr. Leday.
I'll also be brief because the architects and engineers outnumber me in walking. Yeah, so the Vision Insurance guys, real quick. Last year we made a recommendation to go to community eye care. There was a lot of positives about that plan that we really liked. 5-year rate guarantee, we were able to keep it when you leave and things of that nature. However, we listen when the employees and retirees, or employees in this case, do contact and say that they're not liking the plan as much as they wanted to. Everybody got their benefits and what they wanted. However, we've recognized that the lens benefit with community eye care is not as good as they have with the VSP plan. Their discounts are not as deep, okay? And we talk about discounts with the Blue Cross, all that stuff, and medical works similarly on vision. That being said, we're going back to a VSP network plan rather than Emeritus, who y'all had previously. We're going to Reliance Standard, who also uses VSP. The good news is that last year, Emeritus wanted to go up 15% on the rates, and that's why we went out to market. CEC gave us some really good rates, and they also improved the contract to 12-12-12, which meant eye exam, lenses, frames every 12. Before that, it was 12-12-24. Now what we're getting is a VSP plan with Reliance, still on a 12-12-12. So you get lenses, frames, exams, okay, which is an improvement. And the rates, while slightly higher than the CEC plan, they are very close to what they were paying with Emeritus year before. So the rates change just very slightly. They go up by $1.23 for single, $228 for employee and one dependent, and $3.83 per family. Again, it's a very minor increase, but it's a better program. And based on the feedback we heard, they want to be with you.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ms. Babin, and I will second. Do we have any public comment? Any board comment? If none, we shall vote. Motion passes. Item C, to receive proposals from pharmacy benefit managers, PBM, for the 2025-2026 plan year as presented by Mr. Buddy Leday of Gallagher Benefit Services Incorporated, and to take appropriate action.
So every 3 years, we go out to market on the pharmacy benefit manager program. And as you remember, we were at one time with Script Care, and we went to Express Scripts, and we ended up with Elixir, who became MedImpact. So this is just the world of pharmacy, right? Creating the competition every 3 years allows our pharmacy team, which consists of people who have doctorates in pharmacy, contract writers, to go out and try to negotiate a better contract, because rebates and pricing guarantees are constantly changing in the pharmacy world, and pharmacy trend is outpacing medical trend in terms of cost increases right now. So we have to be very diligent. Our intention is always to stay where we are to avoid disruption, if at all possible. The good news is that we were able to achieve that and still achieve some massive savings, okay? We had several responses, but the response that we did, it actually took 3 steps, right? So we get our first responses back. We go back for what's called a best and final offer. When we went back for a best and final, the incumbent was not in the lead in terms of savings. Then we go back to the incumbent and we ask for their last look offer. And that one became the best offer. Okay, so we will be remaining with MedImpact, and the contract is projected to create $5.7 million in savings versus the current contract over a 3-year period of time. It also includes the Payer Matrix program. So there was discussion about whether or not we keep Payer Matrix, because we could have saved close to the same amount of money by doing away with Payer Matrix. However, we've gotten past the initial bumps with Payer Matrix, which is a program that allows people who take high-cost medication to get their drugs through grant programs, manufacturer programs, things like that. A lot of the people who are getting that, and there's about 80 people on the program right now, are getting their drugs at no cost at all. So we will be taking that away from them, okay, which we did not want to do. What we were able to achieve is we were able to keep Payer Matrix and still provide the highest amount of savings possible with MedImpact. So it's the exact same program we have now, just improved upon by creating the competition. So our suggestion will be to go ahead and take the 3-year program with MedImpact. We'll go out to market 2 years for 4 years.
Thank you. Motion by Ms. Babin, second by myself. Any public comments? Any comments from the board? I would just like to thank you for working so hard on behalf of our employees to get that maximum savings and that consistency, which I know.
We're fortunate to have a team at Gallagher. I will not take credit. My pharmacy team is excellent. They're the best at what they do, and they are part of the resources that we have and we can bring to our clients. Really happy about that.
No further comment. We can vote. Motion passes. Thank you.
And one other comment, hope to see you all at the Nichols game Saturday. If you don't want to eat Henry's Grits and Griots, you could come to my tent right next door and eat pulled pork sandwich.
And Henry said Miss Kim is making brownies.
Hope to see y'all there, guys. Y'all take care.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3, finance. To consider authorizing Superintendent Martin to sign the purchasing entity agreement for a NASPO contract to fund Verizon services. And I'll turn it over to Ms. McKinney.
Okay, so annually for the past couple of years, we've requested approval for Mr. Martin to sign a funding document for the GSA federal contract with Verizon to let them know that we have the funds available to pay the monthly bill for our cell phones and MiFis. But Verizon and I have talked, and this year we want to request to move to NASPO, which, if you want to know what NASPO stands for, National Association of State Procurement Officials. You ever need that again in life. Basically, the NASPO is available for local and state agencies, and it's just a different kind of contract. So GSA was for the federal, and it was the only thing available at one point. Then NASPO came around, so Verizon is working on moving us all to the NASPO. So the benefits of moving to NASPO is you don't have to have that funding letter signed every year, so that's good. And the phone lines are cheaper. So currently we are paying $51.37 for a phone line. It will be dropped to $36.99 per phone line. So that's going to save us approximately $1,000 a month. And just an FYI, our network administrator, Mr. John Boudreaux, did work last year with eliminating a lot of the MiFis or lines that weren't being utilized. So at the beginning of last year, our bill was like $5,700 a month. By him doing that, it knocked it down to $4,500, and then doing this, we're going down to $3,600. So that's going to be a savings total of about $25,000 a year. So I've consulted with Ms. Email, and she has approved moving to the NASPO contract. Therefore, I request your approval to authorize Superintendent Martin to sign the purchasing entity agreement for a NASPO contract to fund Verizon services.
Thank you, Ms. McKinney. I have a motion by Ms. Babin, and I will second. Do we have any comments from the audience? Any from the board? Hearing none, we can vote. And that motion passes. Item B, to receive monthly budget to actual report for all major funds for the period through July 31st, 2025. And speaking for Ms. Email is Mr. Martin.
Yes, ma'am. The major funds of the 2024 audit are as follows: the general fund, the 1995 sales tax, salary restricted fund, the salary supplement fund, the 2021 construction funds, which will be presented during the land and facilities meeting, the hurricane recovery fund. We will continue to report on these until the 2025 audit is complete. Activity through the month ending July 31, 2025 includes the general fund, as indicated on page 3 of the statement. 5.8% of revenue budgeted has been received for a total of $6,701,941.60. Of this amount, $6.45 million is minimum foundation program funding. As indicated on page 20 of the statement, 12% of expenditures budgeted has been expended or obligated for a total of $19,656,545. 1995 sales tax salary restricted fund, as indicated on page 21, revenue earned total $7,091. As of July 31, 2025, no expenditures have been incurred. Salary supplement fund, as indicated on page 23, revenue earned totaled $600. As of July 31, 2025, no expenditures have been incurred. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Item C, to receive a financial report on Hurricane Ida response and recovery to date.
Yes, ma'am. The Hurricane Ida report for a period ending July 31, 2025 indicates the following. The total amount expended and encumbered for Hurricane Ida expenditures was $155,355,867.54. FEMA reimbursements of $932,419.83 were received in July of 25. The total aggregate reimbursement from FEMA of $68,784,862.09. Of the aggregate amount received, $18,784,862.09 was submitted to Hancock Whitman as payment of interest and principal on the hurricane loan. The total amount submitted for reimbursement and the total amount obligated by FEMA is $82,805,407.63.
Item D, to receive a report on audit findings from the 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Mr. Martin.
Yes, ma'am. The attached is the final report for the 2024 audit findings. All previous findings have been reviewed and discussed with Eisner Antler, the district's external auditors, and the attached report on tonight's agenda has been provided as resolution to these findings.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 4, transportation, to receive a report of the transportation events from the previous month. Mr. Chris Arnold.
During the month of July, I was able to host a training in service for our school administrators on the bus cameras that our buses are all equipped with, so that the administrators from their school site can utilize or access that footage rather than having to contact IT and or our transportation department. So it's more readily available if and when they need it. So they are all very aware of how to view and download footage should that need exist. In the month of August, our drivers, for the one professional development day that we had with them, were trained on the use of the tablet. So they're getting acclimated. You know, it's some steps that are required, and still some more training to be had. But so they're getting there. There was a number of drivers a little hesitant because it's something new, obviously, but it's going to be a great resource for us all, especially in those scenarios to where a driver is absent, so that a sub driver is filling in that may not be familiar with the route. This tablet will provide lots of guidance for that sub driver. We are currently staffed with 95 drivers. I've recently recommended 2 additional drivers to, so we're inching our way towards 100. So all parts of our parish are pretty well staffed and manned at the moment. There are vacancies, but the current number of drivers are making it happen, thankfully. We've been doing some route cleanup, or in the process of route cleanup. Routes were created, but obviously nothing's perfect the first go round, so we've been receiving a lot of feedback from our drivers as far as stop order, routes taken, and things like that. So I was with Mr. Delcom earlier today because we never really monitored much as far as the analytics side of a route. As far as what we had access to, because we were living in a world where a driver was keeping an Excel spreadsheet and these are my 18 stops. And there was never particular rhyme or reason to it. It's just as the driver drove a neighborhood, they decided this was what the stops would look like. So I was able already in the short time that we've been utilizing the routing tablets to do some by the numbers types of data. So, and I'm going to break it into 3 settings: high school, middle school, and elementary. So on average, these are average numbers. So we have 95 drivers. So these are the representations of those 95 drivers. So high school, the average number of stops by a driver for a high school route is 16. The average number of miles for a high school route driven by each driver is 18 miles. The average time for a high school route is 40 minutes. So we advertise on our transportation website that high school routes should begin no earlier than 6. High school doors open at 6:40. The average run time is 40 minutes. So in a perfect world, you're starting right at 6 and you're pulling up at 6:40, though our drivers are never going to wait to pull up at 6:40 because you have to account for traffic. There are cases, obviously, because of logistics, that drivers have to start before 6 because of the distance they have to travel. Our Bayou Blue drivers have to do a route and be at Central Lafourche for that 6:40 take-in time. So there are extreme scenarios that do exist, but our goal is to help minimize the number of minutes that a kid has to wait or that the kid is potentially not home and or not at school. So those are the high school numbers. Middle school, average number of stops is 16, average run distance is 14, and the average run time is 39 minutes. So again, doors open for our middle school at 7:15. We advertise also that a middle school route should not begin before 6:45. So the high school kids are getting dropped off at 6:40 because that's when their doors open. Middle school routes begin right there, 6:45. Schools open their doors at 7:15, so we have a 30-minute gap. The average run time is 39 minutes. So the goal is to have those kids obviously to school for reasons such as breakfast. That's the main reason right there, but to get them at the school they belong to. Lastly, elementary. The number of stops for an elementary route is 21 on average, with an average run distance of 14, average run time of 47. Route start times for elementary are supposed to begin no earlier than 7:30. Schools open their door at 8 a.m., so that's a 30-minute window. Our average run time is 47 minutes. So, again, and that's every driver running an elementary route. So our elementary buses are real heavy. But these are all eye-opening details that we never really had access to before. So the plan is the continual cleanup to build towards very well thought out and crafted routes. Right now, the system accounted for every kid in our district to hop on a school bus, though we know that that's not reality. Bus stops exist in which kids were not assigned to through observation because our drivers have been taking notes, because the 7 kids assigned to this bus stop all happen to be car riders or whatever, all those scenarios exist. So is it perfect right now? Absolutely not. We'll never claim to be perfect right now, but as Ms. Delcom stated earlier, our goal is to be great, no doubt, and we will continue working towards that. That's the gist of a little by the numbers as far as buses.
Nice to have all that information now. At least you can make more informed decisions. Thank you for that report.
I know I've had a lot of people contact. I know you have, but I appreciate all the work you and your staff doing to try and address all of this.
That's what I wanted to say also. Thank you for addressing it quickly. People I have talked to have been satisfied and understand it. So thank you for that.
It's definitely a change. I was telling Mr. Martin before the meeting, I spoke to our neighboring transportation supervisors that are all doing similar transportation programs or workings, and it's a learning curve for everyone. It's something different for everyone. Again, not to represent Ms. Delcom, but change is tough sometimes, but we're going to continue to try to improve what we currently have.
I just want to say, please tell the drivers that it is awesome that these guys now have this technology in their hands and they're learning it and they're getting to it. This is my 7th year on the board, and I will tell you from the first year, transportation has come such a long way, and that's the credit you guys and also the credit every single one of those drivers for being flexible and willing to learn. And change is difficult, but it's inevitable.
I appreciate it, and I will surely pass that on to the drivers because they're the ones out there doing it.
And with no further business for the committee, this meeting is adjourned.